Gather round, friends, for a tale that has been whispered through the ages, a story not from the dusty pages of history, but from the heart of imagination. Our story begins in the year of our Lord, 1576. In the bustling heart of England, we meet a man named Ted. By day, or rather by night, Ted is a humble watchman for the Grand Bank of England. He's a strong man of 29 years, but his life is a constant cycle of work, and more work. His home is a small, cozy cottage about half a mile away, nestled in a quiet village. There lives his world, his loving wife, Eula, who shares his 29 years, and their two beautiful children. They have a bright-eyed son of 10 and a sweet little daughter of 5. Eula tends to their small garden, coaxing vegetables from the earth to feed their family. It's a simple life, a life where Ted's presence is often missed. The long hours at the bank mean he rarely sees his family. But when he is home, those moments are pure gold. He dedicates a precious hour to playing with his children, their laughter echoing through the small cottage. Then, as the sun dips low, he trains alone. In the year 1576, a watchman's greatest weapon wasn't a firearm, those weren't around yet. It was his own two hands. Hand-to-hand combat was essential, and Ted drilled himself relentlessly, honing his skills, preparing for the dangers his job might bring. But Ted held a secret, a truth so immense it could shatter the very foundations of the kingdom. This humble watchman, this devoted father and husband, was the true king of England. He carried this knowledge locked deep within his heart, a silent burden in his simple life. One morning, like any other, the sun peeked through their cottage window. Ted kissed Eula good morning, her warmth a familiar comfort. His son and daughter wrapped their arms around him in a tight, warm hug, a silent plea for him to stay. But duty called. He grabbed the simple lunch Eula had prepared and began his half-mile walk to the bank. The path was familiar, the air crisp, but today was different. 5 figures stepped out from the shadows of the trees, blocking his path. They were rough-looking men, their intentions clear from the menacing glint in their eyes. They moved to surround him, confident in their numbers. These men were brutes, not scholars. They couldn't read or write, relying only on intimidation and force. Ted readied himself, his training kicking in. Just as the confrontation was about to begin, something incredible happened. A flash of crimson fur shot out from the underbrush. A fox, sleek and clever, stood directly in front of the 5 thugs. It bared its sharp teeth, a low, menacing growl rumbling in its chest. The men, for all their bravado, were startled. They looked at each other, their courage failing. A wild animal acting with such purpose, it was an omen they couldn't ignore. With shouts of surprise and fear, they turned and fled, disappearing back into the woods as quickly as they had appeared. Ted stood in stunned silence. The fox turned its intelligent eyes towards him. In that moment, Ted felt an unspoken connection. It was as if the fox knew. It understood the secret he carried, the royal blood that flowed in his veins. From that day forward, the fox was never far from his side. It became his silent guardian, a vow seemingly made to protect not just Ted, but his family as well. It was a friendship born of a shared, unspoken secret. Years passed. Life in the cottage continued, but the presence of the fox was a constant, comforting reminder of that strange day. Ted's children grew, his bond with Eula deepened, and his secret remained hidden. But destiny, as we know, has a way of finding you, no matter how well you hide. Word reached the village of a proclamation from the man who sat on the throne, the false king. This king, hearing whispers of a warrior watchman in a small village, grew paranoid. He issued a challenge, one that echoed through the kingdom and found its way directly to Ted's doorstep. The message was clear. Ted, if you can best me in a street fight, the crown is yours. You will become king, but if you lose, you must leave this kingdom and never return. The entire kingdom held its breath. A street fight for the throne. It was unheard of. But the false king was arrogant, confident in his own strength. He didn't know about Ted's years of relentless training, his quiet dedication. We all have a feeling about what's going to happen here, don't we? The day of the fight arrived. The square was packed with onlookers. On one side stood the richly dressed, arrogant king. On the other stood Ted, the humble watchman, his loyal fox sitting quietly at his feet. The fight began. It was a brutal, grueling battle. An hour passed. Then, too, the men were evenly matched, a dance of strength and strategy. 3 hours. 4. The crowd was in awe of the watchman's stamina, his sheer will. Finally, after 4 exhausting hours, the false king stumbled back, gasping for air. He dropped to his knees, his strength utterly spent. Ted, he breathed, his voice ragged. "You win. I can't carry on anymore. Do what you want with me." Silence fell over the square. All eyes were on Ted, the victor, the new king. He looked down at the defeated man. He could have banished him, or worse. But Ted was not a man of vengeance. He looked at the former king and said, "I don't want your punishment. I just want your respect. Under my rule, everyone is equal." From the highest noble to the simplest farmer, a roar erupted from the crowd. They had their true king. Ted, the watchman, the husband, the father, took his rightful place on the throne. But as he ruled with wisdom and fairness, he never forgot the true beginning of his journey. So, who is the real hero of this story? Is it Ted, the man who balanced duty, family, and a hidden destiny? Or is it the unknown hero, the clever fox who appeared at the perfect moment? The fox who, in its own mysterious way, seemed to grant Ted's deepest wish, not just to be a king, but to have the time and security to truly be a husband and a father. Perhaps the greatest heroes are the ones whose names we never know, the silent guardians who help us become who we were always meant to be. Thank you for joining me on this journey. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring that bell for more tales from the annals of imagination. See you next time.